Welcome, everybody. Turn your screen on if you can. I like that the most. I'm Monica Reynolds. I'm happy to talk to you guys today and share a few things. This call's going to go quick, fast. Graham from MAPS team will tell you about how you'll get a recording, and everybody will want the screen, so you don't need to take pictures with your camera. We're going to give you those screens. So thanks for being on. Okay. So put in the chat box yes or no for fun while we're waiting. Have you ever fired an assistant? Yes or no? Have you ever fired an assistant? Put that in the chat box for me. Yes or no? Okay. All right, good. Keep going. Okay, I know I have assistants on, but when you build a team, you're going to be firing other people, so get ready. You just haven't had that fun opportunity yet. Yes or no? Have you fired an assistant? If you're an agent on the call, because I don't think the assistants on the call have built a team yet to where they would have someone underneath them. So yes or no, if you're an agent, if you fired someone. I use the director and have fired. Okay, good. Thanks, Ashley. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, good. I'm trying very hard not to. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate that. Jamie, I am the assistant. Trying hard not to. Trying? There is no try. If you're a bold person, we don't try. We get it done. And so I'm going to help you with today to make some corrections. Okay, so if you're the assistant on the call today, I'm glad you're on the call. And at some point, you're going to be hiring people. And at some point, while you're going through the call, do you have this type of training going on for yourself? Are you fully aware of your opportunities? First day on the job. Okay, well, don't fire yourself over this call after you see everything. I hope your agent will be watching a recording of this. That would be important. So Graham, it's top of the hour. Introduce yourself and let's get this call rolling.
All right, cool. I'll get it rolling, kick it off here. And I appreciate everybody hopping on today. Screen's on, as Monica said. We love that. And thanks everyone for stopping by, and welcome to today's webinar. Don't fire your assistant, fire up your assistant for success with MAPS coach Monica Reynolds. I'll make this short and sweet. Please note this meeting is being recorded, and I will share the chat momentarily. The MAPS YouTube channel where the recording will be available within 24 hours. Currently, everyone is on mute. However, we do value group participation. So we ask if you have any questions for Monica, please type them into the chat box. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or any other coaching programs, please feel free to email us at fasttrack, fasttrack@kw.com. That's all for me, Monica. Floor is yours.
Thank you so much. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Monica Reynolds. I'm the VP of MAPS with Keller Williams. We're the largest real estate company in the world. And I'm excited to talk to you. And this is my one thing. I wrote the book literally in the 90s on assistance and team building. I've trained more than over 100,000 agents and assistants on assistance. And the key thing for me is that when I hired my first assistant, I know this will date me, dinosaurs were walking around in the 70s. I literally got thrown out of an office, a Coldwell Banker office. I was a top producer, did more business than all of them together. And yet they felt that it was a liability and like, oh my gosh, she's not licensed. Oh my gosh, where will she sit? Really dumb conversations, but I left and the rest is history. I built my own company at that point. But anyway, so let's talk about a couple of things. And so Stephanie, you've got this one screen up. So let me read this and then we'll go. So let's go to the screen that says, should I fire my assistant today? Go to the next screen, please, Stephanie. Okay, there it is. The answer to that is, should I fire myself first as a rainmaker and a leader? We all have to look inside. So if you're an agent on this call, you have to really think about how did you show up when you hired this person? Were they the magic, bullet that you were bringing on, and hopefully they would just process everything and train themselves, etc. And if you're a newer assistant on the call, and I know there's a bunch of assistants on the call, you need to have a very clear picture of what the job is like, what you're expected to do, what all the expectations are, all the systems. And so with that said, Stephanie, let's go to the next slide. So I want to show you the process that you should have gone through. The CV process is an excellent process, and there's 37 job matches. You have no idea what I'm talking about. In your market center in Keller Williams, we have what's called the CV process. You can take that, the KPA. You can take that KPA with your market center, and you can have the job matches of who you are as far as a listing manager, a director of operations. There's 37 different job matches. When you are an agent and you're listening to this call right now, you have to slow this process down. It is extremely costly to hire the wrong person. There is a loss of your time. There's a loss of resources because you're having your resources get involved too, and then they're losing their time. There's a loss of opportunity because you're working on the training, and hopefully this person is moving along and if they're not, then all of this is a waste. And there's a loss of income if you don't hire the right person because you're too busy cleaning up or getting involved and doing things you shouldn't do. The real estate agent's only job description is lead follow-up, lead generation, go on appointments, write contracts, and role play. 5 things. If an agent's doing anything else, they are not doing their job. So the newer assistants on this call, hate to burst the bubble, but everything else is yours. And so following the CV process, career visioning with the KPA, going through the life story, checking references 3 levels deep. Training, I'm going to speak to as there's agents on this call, is that you have to put it in your schedule, your commitment, and you're going to spend the first 2 days all day long with your assistant. So assistants on the call, not to blow anybody's cover, there's some newer assistants on the call. Yes or no? Did your agent spend 2 full days with you? Yes or no? Put it in the chat box. This is just for my knowledge too. Yes or no? There's not going to be one yes. There won't be, because we're salespeople. We don't know how to be a leader and a boss sometimes. Okay, there was one yes in there. Good for you, Rachel, when you were first hired. Then after that, good luck, right? So you have to slow the schedule down. You have to spend time with this person. You've got to talk about your database. You've got to talk about, who are the best people in your world. And this call comes in. How do you handle it? Role playing, the phone. Yeah, you have an office line. Perfect real estate assistant obviously is training. The perfect operations team, both of those I do through MAPS, and the market center has training. Usually there's some sort of training every week there. Should an assistant go to Ignite? Yes. Why? Because they need to hear how you work and what you should be doing. Kind of blows the cover of an agent, right? Setting reasonable job expectations, 30, 60, 90, your growth plan. It's not a cul-de-sac. There's bonus opportunities. Now, if you're newer, you might want to go back and ask your agent, what about the 30, 60, 90? What about my job description? What about the growth plan? Where's my business plan? Every assistant has a business plan. They have a 411. And what's your growth plan for being part of the wealth plan, for being part of the team, and your growth plan? Communication, there should be a 90-day review. You should have a daily meeting, weekly, monthly goal setting, and opportunities. What's the future org chart look like? What are the opportunities for wealth building and purchasing an income property or your first home? And then what's the opportunity for you, an assistant on this call, to become the future leader of a team? Now listen to this line. No one leaves when there's opportunity. No one leaves an organization when there's opportunity. And yet we fail as agents to show the big picture of where we want to go and what's next. Okay, next screen. Now we're going to roll through this pretty quickly. All right. Okay, so yes or no? And for your assistant, you answer it. Did you receive a job description day 1? Yes or no? As an agent, did you give out a job description? Yes or no? Yes, I wrote my own. Okay, good. There's nothing like writing your own. Okay, all right, good. Okay, good. The job description is the training checklist. So it has to be very comprehensive. I'll share one with you coming up. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you provided a clear expectation of the job. As an agent listening to this, yes or no, 1 to 10, what was your score? If you're an assistant, do you feel you have a clear explanation of the job? As an agent, you went over how to build your career and how to treat your client, how you built your career, your history, and how you treat your clients. So yes or no, assistants, do you know the history of your agent getting into business? Yes or no? Well, I'm excited to see those yeses. A few no's, mostly yeses, somewhat. Okay. All right. It's always good to know the journey. You went over pay, days off, holidays, 6 days, jury duty. You went over the job description. You went over the daily schedule. You went over in detail the 30, 60, 90. Next page, Stephanie, please. You role play scripts. Okay, you monitored 30, 60, 90. You cleared your schedule. You reviewed each file with your assistant. You followed the process of, you watch, I do. You do, I watch. You do, I review later. That's a great thing. So let's go to number 11, next page. You role play scripts. Answer the phone. Thanks for calling Monica Reynolds' office. This is Stephanie. I can help you. That was our script. If the agent's not in, what's your script? I'm sorry, the agent's not available right now. I can help you immediately. Potential buyer, potential seller script. They need to be handled right then. And if you're not licensed, the script is different. If you're licensed, the script is different. I've got all those. Problem calls. And then as a boss, if you ask your assistant these things each day, you start making a connection. How are you today? A lot of agents just wave as they go in, get on the phone, and they start their job. How are you? What are you working on? How can I help you? Now, as an agent listening to this, you're saying to yourself, well, that's just silly. No, I learned this from Dave Ramsey, if some of you know who he is, and I worked there for 5 years. He would walk around the building every day and randomly talk to people. How are you? What are you working on? How can I help you? There were 600 employees there, and you knew he was going to hit you one of these days. So you had better look busy and know what you're talking about. Okay, next one, Stephanie. All right. Did you, as an agent, say thank you at least once a day? Did you have a meeting each day to go over the to-do list? Here's what I need you to do. Here's what's going to happen. Here are my questions. You introduced your assistant right off the bat to team in the office. You introduced your assistant to affiliates. You ordered business cards for assistants. That's a key thing. Get your own business card that says executive assistant 2. That card goes out on the listing presentation. That card goes out to anyone who goes under contract, buyers. You talked about your value proposition and how to deliver that to clients. These 2 days are critical to go through this list and take time. You enrolled your assistant for classes at the market center, the office. You signed up your assistant, obviously, for the perfect real estate assistant, where they get everything they could possibly need on systems and training to be the CEO of that file. Next page, Stephanie. All right. So what we're going to look at right now is the job description. Now, if you say you got one when you got on the job, if I call you 90 days from now, I'd say, is that job description still the same? No, I've added this. Oh, that changed. And so you are the keeper of your job description. So as you add things, add it to the job description. When you hire your next assistant, you're going to peel things off of this job description to build the next one. So this is a pretty comprehensive one about the goals and what they do. It's just a sample. Mine is like 6 pages long. There's no such thing as a long job description. You want to have everything in there. You're not explaining how it's done. You're just giving the bullets on it. Okay, next slide, Stephanie. So put your questions in the chat box, and then I'm happy to answer whatever I can. So Terry, you need to go on. There you go. Okay. So again, here's the next part of that. And, you can have, being proficient in different softwares, or, they have a working knowledge of different CRMs. And if they don't have that, they're going to get it while they're on the job with you. Command training, Brivity, whatever you're using. And then obviously some things is they're in charge of the inventory. So everything is on there. And remember, this is a list that someone is going to be able to do, a full-time person. A part-time person, they're not going to do all of this, but they're going to be able to absolutely do a lot of this. And a full-time person, this is an executive assistant for one assistant, all the things that they do from with the buyer clients, with the contracts, etc. Okay, let's go to the 30, 60, 90 next, Stephanie. So these are the SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, repeatable, and timely. Let's go to the next screen. So I wrote this for the KPA career visioning class. The first 30 days, if you have a full-time assistant, the only thing they do is they handle the phone. They learn how to handle the phone. They learn the database, all the videos they need to watch, the training. They need to learn how to work the database, from data entry to managing it, to email campaigns, to videos, and cleaning up the database. They have to own the database. That is your only asset as an agent. Answering the phone when somebody calls in, difficult situations, they're a buyer, they're a seller. You got to role play those scripts with them. The phone is the cash register. And if you role played every single day, at least twice a day, 30 minutes on this one, 30 minutes, and then another where they had at least a couple of hours of role playing, they're going to answer that phone so great. You're not going to have any goof ups. And then the third thing in the first 30 days is processing a listing. And that's the pre-list package, putting it on MLS. Maybe it's cropping photos, scheduling open houses, Facebook, coming soon's, inventory, putting it on the inventory list, you know, checking off the lock boxes, all of that. That's just the first 30 days. Now, most of you high D agents out there, all you want to do is give them everything in the first 2 weeks and they need to be proficient. No, you take your time. You go through your pre-list package and you say, let's take a look at this. If you don't have one, pull it up on command and say, I'd like you to build me one. You know, here's what happens in the marketing of this CRM, or here's where we need to build it. Let's go to 60 days, Stephanie. So on 60 days, it's a little bit different. We go through the closing files. Now they watch as you're doing it in the last 30 days, and now they start to take over and you're watching them, and then you're reviewing if you let go of them and they're starting to put the stuff together. And they're tracking numbers, and there might be one lead generation system that they're working on with you, whether it's getting out letters or just sold or whatever, just listed, etc. And yet tracking those numbers now has to come in where they are tracking your listing appointments. They're tracking listings taken. They're tracking listings under contract, buyers under contract, price reductions, closed. The database, what's the number of completes in the database? Name, address, phone number, and emails. And so as I'm going through these things, I want you to hear this. If you're an agent on the call, you know, should you be fired as a leader, a rainmaker, or should you go back and take and just reset? So if you're a new assistant on the call, just reset and say, hey, I'd like to do these things so that we have something measurable and specific where I can see that I'm achieving. Now, all right, 90 days, let's go to that. So that's all marketing, all listings, all pendings, the database. It's scripts, it's tracking the weekly numbers, it's goal monitoring, and an assistant is helping with 1 or 2 lead generation systems. And so that's very simple. And then you sign off. Now, after 90 days, the assistant's pretty proficient in all of that. Database being number 1, processing a listing, processing a pending, those are 2 and 3. And then all the customer service back end stuff with marketing, obviously, and phone scripts, that comes too. So that's a very clear picture to how to be very successful. So the next part is, and this is about you hiring someone that you're going to build this magnificent career with. So let's go to the next slide, Stephanie 411. And so on this particular slide, here's where you start to build a community, a family. You're going to spend more time with this person than you do of anyone else in your life. And so when you have a 411 that you do weekly with your assistant, so the annual goals will be, if you have a goal to sell, 50 houses, then one of the personal goals there, the business goals on the right-hand side would be, close 50 transactions, process, 25 listings, On the personal side, it could be, save X amount, buy a condo, buy a new car, go on a trip, whatever that the annual goal is, lose 20 pounds, whatever it happens to be. And then you break those down monthly. And then, excuse me, on the weekly goal, I have to reach some water here. On the weekly goal, you only fill out 1 week at a time. And I see the craziest 411s that are all mistakes where somebody hands me one that says all 4 weeks. And I go, how do you know you did week 1? If you didn't do week 1, don't you need to jump on top of week 2? You always front end load week 1 and 2. Front end load. And so this is what's critical there, is to be engaged with your assistant, moving them forward in the business, and also being partnered up to move them forward in their personal life. Okay, the next slide, and all these slides are available to you, of course, when you get the recording. This is an EA business plan. So I'm asking them on this plan to really understand the business goals, and also that they are in charge of getting reviews and referrals. What about profit share? What's their current net worth? What's their 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goal? Remember, no one leaves you when there's opportunities. No one leaves you when you set clear expectation. No one leaves you when they are growing in the job. And it can be personally and it can be professionally. And when you hire someone and you fire them after 3 months or 6 months, Gary Keller says it's 3 times their salary is what it's cost you. So you have to be very careful that you're hiring the right person, and that you're also taking the time to pour into them. Okay, the next slide. So we're not going to fire anybody. We're going to have a corrective conversation. So a corrective conversation is called the sandwich. Compliment, correction, compliment. So Bill, you do such a great job with my listing files. It's so great when I walk out that everything is perfect. Everything's in order. I know exactly who these clients are. Thank you so much for organizing that. And I was hoping so that's the first part, complimented that. We, not you, we can work on the next thing together. And that is, I noticed in the pending file for a buyer that this, and this might be a challenge. And it may be, something that's slipping through the cracks. Do you see that also? And usually they say, yes, I know we've had a couple problems there. And I go, great. So let's you and I figure out the solutions of where it should be on the checklist or how we can do that differently. And then we brainstorm that. So we have the solution. And then we meet the next week to make sure that that got put on the checklist or that that's been resolved. That's a great way to build up a team member and move them forward. Okay. But it's also, you're now also have it documented. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next slide, which is the growth plan. So all of you on this call, agents, assistants, you have to have a growth plan. That's who we are. We're commission salespeople. We run our own business. We're entrepreneurs. And what's the growth plan of your assistant this month? Are they reading the shift book with you 1 chapter at a time? Why not? Have they read the MREA book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent? What are they doing professionally to grow? Obviously, the perfect real estate assistant, the class that has 450 pages of systems and checklists, and I empower them to be the CEO and the boss. You'll like that a lot. Are they enrolled and are they learning? You have to be education based. And I love it when an assistant comes into one of my classes and she says, well, I've been an assistant for 12 years. I'm not sure this is the right place for me. And I go, great, come and learn and see what you can add. They love it because I never thought of it like that. Or they don't have the boundaries between the agent and assistant. And when, the agent can't interrupt the assistant every 5 minutes, and you're putting up boundaries and you're putting in systems in place and you're putting in email systems in place, conversations in place. Your business goes to the next level when you have a great assistant. They change your life as an agent when you have the right assistant, because they are also an extension of you. They are a salesperson selling you every single time they talk to a client that they made the right choice. which builds up repeat and referral business. So on the growth plan, what are they going to achieve personally the month? You can start at any time. June, what do they want to achieve in June? It's not over yet. What they want to achieve in June as far as business. Okay, what are they going to read? What are they going to attend? What are they going to videos they're going to watch, on command or whatever software or YouTube channels, etc. Okay, lots to do there. Okay, so let's pull up the next slide, Stephanie. So let me, and I appreciate everyone on this call, and I'll just do this real quickly and then I'll go to some questions. When you hire the right assistant, it is great to get them immersed into training. And obviously the perfect real estate assistant class has been around forever. If you've been in it before, the materials are new, they're updated all the time. And the key is I empower the assistant to be the boss of the files. There's one call a month for you, the agent, teaching you to be a great boss and setting expectations with your assistant. I say, this is what they're going to learn. This is what you need to ask them for. This is their homework assignment. And if they will do one thing, just one, I give like 10 different examples, ideas, whether it's just listed, just sold, whatever it is, systems, expired, FSBO, they're going to get all the systems. They're going to get all the customer service letters and systems you can imagine. They'll get all the scripts. And then it's up to you to help them be accountable to put it into place. Okay, next screen, Stephanie. Okay, so on the next screen, the launch is July 13th. And it's $100 off if you use Web 100. It's $195 per month for 6 months. At the end of 6 months, you will be a great boss, and your assistant will have all of the systems. They will have a big working knowledge of the big picture. They will know the future of your business. It's great to be one agent and one assistant. It's great to be one agent, one assistant, and want to grow to the next assistant, which then leads to the buyer agent. I have 3 agents that just referred things fast. Okay, great. Okay, good. So what I want you to hear, you can take that down now, Stephanie. You guys all know where that is, and it's in the chat box. So here's the thought process. This class today was to just share with you, there's the right way and the wrong way to set up your assistant. And I know a lot of you were set up correctly and some were not. It's not too late to go back and say, what about this 411? I'd love to have that. What about this growth plan? How should I work on this with you? Business plan, all of those things. It's never too late. It's a great time of the year to get that started. Take a look at yourself in the mirror if you're the agent. Did you do what you could to set them up properly? So this class is about reset, that we're having today, and then moving forward. So take your time in the CV career visioning process with the KPA. DISC tests are great also. I'm a triple D. I want to work with a high C usually. And that's my best fit because I'll cross the T's, dot the I's, and clean up my messes. The other thing that I want you to hear in this class is that it is up to you as a leader and a rainmaker to set the correct expectations. And then when they're not set correctly, you can do a conversation, a corrective conversation saying, there's some things we can work on together. And now you're establishing, here's some things to improve. And so it takes time. You're going to spend more time with this person than anyone in your world. And yet the assistant can take you to the next level. They will absolutely change your life, and they can change the life of clients too, because you have now an extension of you. Like I said, they are a salesperson of you. So the key though is, how do you make sure that your assistant is education based? The first step is to make the investment in the assistant. There are 2 calls a month for them. Each call has 40 to 50 pages of a handout. You will build a policy and procedures manual that will absolutely keep you from being hostage. You will never be hostage again to an assistant just in case they don't work out or they move away or they have babies or whatever happens to people. Life happens, right? We always want to find that perfect employee. Your first hire, your first assistant, that main assistant is the most important thing that you can do for your real estate career. There is nothing more exciting to find that right person. Now, if you're the assistant on the call, seem like there are quite a few of them, reset yourself. Look at that job description. Do you have a 411 of accountability? Did you do a 30, 60, 90? The newer people on the call, I know there's some saying first day on the job. Great. Do that. And then I'm going to ask you to go say to your agent, please make this investment so that Monica Reynolds can train me. And I've trained more assistants than anyone else in the country. So let me open this up. Stephanie, there's some questions that you see. Ashley Robertson said, I have 3 agents that I just referred taking this class with their admin's launch date. Great. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. All right. Good. Know your value, Ashley. Yes, that's for sure. Mine is in real estate training class. And after that, she goes to you, Monica. Okay, let me share something with you. So is she hired, Tina? If she's hired, is she hired right now, Tina?
Yes, we just finished her 90 days.
Okay, good. And so, I understand that she's in the real estate licensing class. However, I'm going to suggest that you make the investment now. You don't wait for the next class in October. The reason is that my classes are 1 hour twice a month. So it's only a 2-hour commitment. And I believe the class is at noon or something on Wednesdays. I think it's noon. I think it's 12:30, I think, one of the times like that. And it starts on the 13th. And the reason is that get her immersed into the system. So the first 3 calls are on communication with clients, communication with you, and how to have that communication with the personality styles, etc. Then the next one is on job description. So we go slow, but by the 3rd month, I'm ramped into listings, into pendings, and then we go into customer service, tracking numbers, goal setting. So I would say join now, and she can always do one thing at a time. Oh, Chris, we took your class in Del Mar 5-6 years ago. Are you doing any more in-person trainings? Would love an excuse to take the team out of town. Hey, all right, I'll make a note. Chris, we're going to open up the boot camp probably later this year, maybe in November, December, coming to Austin, because that's where I live now. I don't live in California, unfortunately, anymore. All right. Okay. And so Rachel said, I took the class while I was in process of getting licensed. So I highly recommend, Tina, consider that. Okay. It's a good fit. And I know she's studying her test, but she's also working. So this just complements what she's doing. Are we able to get PDFs of some? Yes, you're going to get they're in the recording, I believe.
They're not PDFs though. You have the slides you can see on YouTube. This is Stephanie, Monica's assistant.
Yeah.
You'll have the slides. So you'd have to you'd have to recreate them on your own, which is pretty easy to do. And then Monica, Tor would like to know if there is a good ad or a place that you recommend posting the hiring ad.
Well, let's talk about that. So, of course, I go through a hiring process. There's 40% of the class is agents because you don't have an assistant. You are the assistant. I used to do that too. So you are the assistant. So the best, there's a couple of things. Let's talk about finding an assistant. So there's Indeed.com, which you have to pay for, but a lot of the top producers use that. I say you start with your database first and you say, thank you so much for supporting my business. My team is growing. If you know of anyone thinking about a career in real estate, whether they're an agent or an assistant, I'd love to talk to them. Okay. So your database is first. Next is you go to your vendors and you don't say, do you know anyone? Because they're going to say, well, let me think about it. Who's the guy or the gal that you give all your business to? Title, insurance, home warranty, home inspectors. And you say, give me 2 names next week. I didn't say, can you? I said, give me 2 names next week of people that would be a great fit for my team and are a great fit for me as a new assistant. I don't have to use your name. They can still have a job. They've been downsized. You don't know where they are, but you got a number for them. You don't know what happened to them, but they were great. I need 2 names. You need to think about that. These guys make money off of the business you do, so you ask them, okay? The next one, of course, is Facebook ads. The same sort of thing. You can do a video saying, hey, everybody, thanks for supporting my business. Got exciting news. if you want a career in real estate, we've got a real estate school at our office if you've got K-score. And then you say, the other thing is I really want to share with you is that I'm looking for a great executive assistant. I can train them. We've got great training programs. Please reach out to me if you know of anyone. Okay. Okay. Next one is college bulletin boards. It's amazing when you put up a great ad that says basically, fast-paced real estate office looking for, executive assistant, blah, blah, training provided, hours plus bonuses, something like that, or fair salary, great salary plus bonus opportunities. So with that said, you guys, there's so many different ways to look at that. And then every time you go out, you should always have your business cards with you. Some of the best people I've met are servers, they're hosts or hostesses at a restaurant. And every time I ask one of them, I said, have you ever thought about a career in real estate? They go, yeah. And I go, well, here's my card. Call me. I'd love to talk to you about it. That's been simple to find great people like that. Great people. Okay. All right. Who do you know that I need to know? Exactly. And every time you're talking to someone, who do you know that could use it? When Gary said one time to me, he says, every time you go on a listing presentation, you should say on that listing presentation after you sign a listing. So who do you know is thinking about a career in real estate? I remember asking this high-powered executive, and he said, oh, well, I'm retiring in 3 months. I was thinking about commercial real estate. He ended up being a fabulous commercial real estate agent in San Diego. And of course, I referred him into Keller Williams, of course, right? Okay, good. Disney attitude. Yeah. So I have a Disneyland close that I teach the assistants, and there's like 50 different scripts I teach the assistants. And one of them is, by the way, thanks for working with our team. We so appreciate your business. Is there anything else I can do to help your day, or anything else we can do to help your day? So you always want to make sure that the assistant has a great opening line. They have a great closing line. Oh, by the way, we'd love another great client like you. Who do you know right now who's thinking about buying or selling? We would so love a referral from you. What if you had an assistant ask that to every single client that they're talking to? And then I teach them to change it up. So sometimes they'll say, oh, before I let you go, I've got a favor. Thank you for recognizing that we did such and such, and we appreciate that. And maybe they said something nice on the call, like, oh, it's so great how you guys reach out all the time. What if your assistant said, oh, thank you for noticing. Could I ask you a favor? Our business is built on reviews, 5-star reviews, mention our team name. Would you just take 2 minutes? I'll send you a link. We'd love for you to give us a 5-star review. Now, just that simple stuff that they are salespeople. They are an extension of you. And as agents on this call, you have to slow the process down. If you take the time, you do the CV process, you do the references, you set the expectations with the job description, you talk about where they are personally, financially, and how you can help them grow. This is an opportunity in real estate. There are so many different ways that they can grow on that team. Maybe they become an agent. Maybe they become director of operations, which is fabulous. Maybe they're the person that hires all the agents on your team as it grows. Or it's okay. And it's super to be a very profitable one agent and one assistant. And yet that person is the extension. They do everything. The only thing you do as an agent is you lead generate, you lead follow-up, you go on appointments, you write contracts, and you role play. Everything else does not have a dollar sign next to it. Calling a sign down, getting involved in XYZ. Now, if your assistant's not licensed, they can't do any negotiating. They can't do repairs on a contract, on a home inspection. Can't do that stuff. So you always want to get your assistant licensed ultimately. Okay, any other questions, Stephanie, in the chat
Yes.
box?
Rachel would like to know if you're going to be at Mega Camp.
I will be at Mega Camp. Yes, I will be. I will definitely be there. I'm always in the MAPS booth somewhere, so I would love to do that. You just passed the real estate licensing exam today. Good for you.
Yay.
Congratulations. Do you pay your assistant a percentage? Golly, wipe that message off. You never pay them a percentage. One, you're the entrepreneur, okay? And you can't pay a percentage of your business to an assistant, because if you go out of town and you don't have a closing that month, do you tell your assistant you get to work for free till I get around to making, some money? No, they get paid a fair salary, and they get paid bonuses based on friends, family, co-workers from the past. They're licensed, you can pay them a referral fee. If they're not licensed, you pay them a bonus. What's the most important skill you look for if you meet people? Organized, friendly, etc. I'm looking for a couple of things. I'm looking for talent by my questions. I'm looking for shiny eyes. They have shiny eyes. They're leaning in. They're excited. The few conversations that I have with them, like I will call them first on the phone and I'd say, I want to hear their voice, because this voice is going to be my voice to the clients. I want to hear their voice. And I'll say, Stephanie, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. Thank you so much for your resume. Do you have like 3 or 4 minutes? I'd love to ask you a couple of questions. And I say, so Stephanie, tell me a little bit about your job history. I've got it in front, but I want to hear about it. And if I hear Stephanie go, I need someone to think on their feet. I could say, well, 2 years ago I was here, blah, 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 and then this happened, blah, blah, blah. And I go, great. So what's the one thing you love to do as an executive assistant? Well, I love to do this and this. What's the one thing you're not too happy doing? Well, I don't like to handle any kind of conflicts, and I don't like upset customers. And I go, okay, duly noted. Okay. And I say, well, what are some of your hobbies? So I'm just asking some general questions like that. Describe the perfect job for you. So you now have all the questions that I just rattled off. And then after that, I say, great. The next step is I'm going to send you a KPA and a disc. Each of these will take about 30, 40 minutes. And then since today is Tuesday, can I have it back by Friday at noon? If I don't get it back by Friday at noon, I don't call them back. And if it's late, I just say, thank you, we filled the position, because they need to honor time commitments. If they say they could do it, great. Now, if I didn't like the way they answered questions and something was really goofy and they were just too shy on the phone, and I thought, I can't fix this. Then I go, thank you, we'll be in touch. And then the next week I say, we filled the position. I acknowledge that. I don't have them take a KPA, and I don't have them do a DIS test unless I have that first conversation. Now, when they come in to meet me, I say, thanks for coming in. They better be on time, right? And then the second thing is, I'll go through some questions. I'll say, tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you lived in the area? Blah, blah, blah. Where'd you go to school? Blah, blah, blah. Then I'll say, so how many people on your Facebook page? Oh, I probably have 1,000, 1,500 people. I go, great. Would you be willing to let everybody know that you work for a real estate agent and that they should call you if they have any real estate questions so you could put them in touch with the best? Would you be willing to do that? Well, yes. And I've had people say, no, I would never do that. I would not promote, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And I go, tell me more about that. Well, I just wouldn't feel comfortable. What if something went wrong and then I'm in trouble? And I went, okay, blockhead out. So I'll just say, well, thanks for coming in. After a few more questions, I appreciate your time, and I'll validate their KPA a little bit, the DIS test a little bit, and then I send them on their way, and that's it. They've got to say the right things. How many people in your phone? So if you have an iPhone, if you scroll down to the bottom on contacts, do that real quick before we get off the phone. If you have an iPhone, get on it, go to contacts, scroll down, put in the chat box how many contacts you have in there. Put in there. 738. Okay, and a lot of these are assistants. So you've got some 1,400, 1,700. Good. Keep going. All right. Only 38. You 6,100. You win 4,000. Okay, 2,000. You guys. So we asked the assistant, how many in there? Whether they say 87 or 8,700. Great. Would you be willing to text a message to people in your cell phone where you live? I mean, where you're working, and that you'd like to help them in real estate. I mean, so easy. Look at all those numbers there. So amazing to do that. Stephanie, was there any other message there? I see this from, as a new licensee, I became an assistant to learn and grow. What's your advice on making sure growth is always continuous to ensure the assistant's future as well as the future of the lead You know, the key thing is you've got to get training and you stay in training. There's a lot of free training, obviously the perfect real estate assistant. Then when that's done, you go to the building the perfect operations team. So then we teach you how to become a DO, director of operation, listing manager. We break all that out. And then obviously there's tons of free training on KWU. I highly recommend assistants go to Mega Camp, to Family Reunion. Highly recommend that. That changes your life to be in that exposure. Okay. Let's see. My boss is new to leading and being a CEO. Okay. So, you know, the key thing, you know, when you're in a situation where you have an agent, and bless her heart, I was there too, raise my hand, I was there too. You have to know that you have to give some grace. So if you're a newer assistant and you're a little overwhelmed on this call, you're saying, wow, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm not doing this. You just go to your agent and say, hey, would you take the time to listen to this call? Or can I share with you some of the screenshots here that I'd really like to put into place? And you just have a very transparent conversation. You want the job, you help the agent be a great boss. You help them be a great boss. All right,
That's a good
Steph,
question,
any
Monica.
other thing?
Yeah,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on a virtual assistant and how do we implement these action items with a cyberbacker who's not in our country?
Okay, so cyberbackers are great assistants, and one of the things they can do so much of everything behind the scenes. One of the things that you have to be very aware of is that occasionally cyberbackers, virtual assistants, English is not their first language. And God knows I can barely speak English, so I appreciate that they can attempt and do speak English and understand it. It's amazing to me. So I give them that. However, some do not have a clear speaking voice. So a lot of times virtuals will be behind the scenes doing a lot of the heavy lifting, preparing packages, you know, getting things on the website, getting things on MLS. They can do all of those things. You might not have that strong interaction with clients, with the daily calls that need to be made to the clients if their voice is not strong English speaking. So you can interview as you're hiring people. And if you have a great, strong cyberbacker and their voice is not strong English, that's fine. Just keep them doing all the heavy lifting in the back, and your next assistant you hire, you know, will be able to do more communications. Remember, I'm not a big proponent of assistants not having direct communication. If they're not doing it, then you've got to do it on a regular basis. Nobody will ever list their house with you and say, hey, I love those texts from your assistant, or those emails are great from your assistant. We're going to sell our house. We'd love to work with you again so we can get more emails. The relationship is built over the phone. The phone is the cash register, and it's really critical to hear that. Okay.
Okay, Monica, how about, is it more important to hire a licensed assistant or is an unlicensed assistant okay?
You hire talent first. So you hire talent first, and the talent is your assistant. Your assistant is the talent. Do they have computer skills? I need that at a high level. They need computer skills. I need computer aptitude. They can catch on. They can do Excel spreadsheets. They can do Google stuff, docs, everything. I mean, I need them to do all of that for me. And so they have to have a high level of computer understanding. They've got a great level of interaction. They know how to diffuse a call if somebody's upset. Imagine that. And they've got to be able to, you know, I hire the talent first and then I get them licensed. So I look for talent first. If they come licensed, great. But in most cases, I will sell them on getting licensed, that it's an asset that they have for the rest of their life. And for them to get paid bonuses on their friends, family, and past coworkers that are not in my database that want to do something, they'll get paid 25%. And I always say, anyone I hire, this is not a cul-de-sac salary job. You have a goal, and I'm going to help you with that goal to make more money in referrals than you do in salary. And, you know, there's many assistants, Stephanie, on this call that have made lots of money in referrals. So you just have to be purposeful about that. So in conclusion, for those who stayed on, I want to share with you couple of things. When you have an assistant, if you're the agent, make the investment in their training. This will change the trajectory of your business to have all of the systems, listing systems, expired FSBOs. Yeah, we're getting back in there. Price improvement systems, customer service letters, really powerful, just sold, just listed letters that are incredible that drive business. Open house systems, everything is there. And so you have a blueprint and a guideline, and then you can add and make them better from there, of course. I have all the systems. I've been in real estate over 42 years. I've either stole them or written them or made them better. But I've coached all these top producers all over the country and are constantly changing the material. The other thing, if your assistant on the call and your agent's not on the call, go ask them to make the investment and then get those agents on the call 1 hour per month for the next 6 months. I teach them to be a great boss. And then you're on a call 2 hours each month. And if your assistant is newer, they're getting licensed, highly recommend, Tina, that you sign up, only because this is the big picture. No one's going to implement everything I give you because you can't keep up, but it's your reference manual. It's your no longer hostage manual because all your systems are going to be there. Okay. Is there any way we can have access to the checklist? Yes, Deborah, I have over 100 that you're going to get in the class. I don't know how to get them all to you, but yes, the checklists are all there in the class. So make the investment, because if I hand you the checklist, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like on your listing checklist, you should have the source of business all the time on that checklist. You should have, obviously another thing I talk about is personality types and identifying. I teach the assistant who a driver is, who a high I is, and how you speak to them. You've got to speak their language. They speak Spanish, you speak Spanish. They speak high D, you speak high D. So it's all about building these relationships. All right. Just say Monica Reynolds says it works every time. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ashley. You are very busy today, so I appreciate that. Thanks for all your help. Okay. All right. I think I've got all the questions answered. Is that right, Stephanie?
Yes, I didn't see any others.
Okay, good. Sign up for that class. I have a lot of fun. I make fun of the agents. I empower the assistants to be the CEO of the file. I empower them to keep you as an agent on track. And I empower you to double your income with your first hire an assistant. It's so easy to do. I did it. You can do it. It takes all that other stuff off. Nowhere in the salesperson job description does it say, you're great at paperwork. You're great at checklists. You're great at letters. No. Let me give you the systems, get your great assistant on the call, get them trained, get their shiny eyes excited about the opportunities. All right, you guys, thanks so much for being on the call. This is my one thing. I hope to see you on the call. It starts July 13th. Put in Web 100 and get that discount. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, great week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thanks, Stephanie.
Hi, everybody.